Dear learners, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Prashant Gautam from University Institute of Hotel and Tourism Management, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Dear learners, the learning objectives of this module are: learn about the meaning of policy and tourism policy, to know about the components of tourism policy formulation, to know about the different bodies involved in the process of policy formulation, to understand the key factors involved in the process of national level tourism policy. Introduction. Policy formulating is the major function of the government. Meanwhile, its preparation is a difficult and vigorous procedure. No hypothetical model is acceptable to describe the policy creation entirely. According to Vidya-mitra, public policy making is a complex, dynamic process whose components make different contributions to it. It decides major guidelines for action directed at the future. Can be authoritative allocation of values by the political system, a slight variation from the previous or existing policy, equilibrium reached out of the competing group struggle, a rational choice for the preference of the governing elite. It can also be a combination of these processes. In the course of policy formulation, different organizations partake indirectly or directly. The function of the administrative bodies is straight, whereas the function of the non-government agency is secondary. Few of the organizations which be the part of in policy making are judiciary, boards and commissions, mass media, legislature, cabinet, state government, civil servants, pressure groups, political parties and public. It is important to assess the responsibilities of all the organizations in the process of forming an informative policy for the country. Legislature. In a democratic government, the function of the legislature is the formulation of the policy. Meanwhile, they look at the various problems occurring and accordingly prepare the policies. Legislation plays a crucial role in the 20th century. Despite the fact they have different functions, the members of the ruling parties with the majority of the seats start pushing on to many policies initiatives and are usually prepared by the cabinet, also after discussion with the concerned community. It is seen that there is a great level of concentration of policy initiatives and policy making. Cabinet. In a democratic system, it is legal job of the cabinet to agree to different policies, which are to be presented before the council for the approval. Cabinet members are policy makers. The Prime Minister powers have increased inside the cabinet in the modern scenario. The Prime Minister uses strong decisions over certain possible policies if majority of the members are with him. Same is the situation at state level with the Chief Minister. The advisory role is played by the cabinet and cabinet committees, whereas the final decisions are taken by the Chief Minister. State governments. In federal state like India, both central and state government play a crucial role in contribution in the policy formulation. The state government make policies and make certain rules for the things stated concurrent lists and the state lists. At state level, the policies are prepared by the Chief Minister with the ministers in the guidance and other advisory committees. Commissions or expert committees. For the successful and effective policy formulation, separately, ad hoc committee is formed instead of having permanent boards and commissions. so that suggestions can be taken and administrative improvements can be done in the policy formulation. These recommendations and suggestions help in forming a successful policy for the development of the different states and at national level. Bureaucracy. Government employees at the highest organization level sometimes helps the ministers in the process of policy formulation. They are already employed in various public services or departments, but are helping the ministers in the formulation of policy and carry out their evaluations or assessments. These people are more efficient and effective here in the process of policy formulation than the formal explanation of their duties suggest. Bureaucrats are an important part of policy formulation at national and state level. Political parties. Similarly, as the bureaucrats, political parties also exist and are important part of policy making process. Especially in the Western countries, democratic parties play a significant role in the various policy making decisions. But there is no such confirmations in the Indian context. Generally, political parties showcase their values, policies, programs and goals to the society with an idea to gain their support. Parties are fully involved in the formulation of tourism policies and also offer a mechanism to people by which they can add in the public activities, which creates a makeup to the effect of policy formulation. Policy formulation bodies in India. There are many bodies, organizations involved in the process of policy formulations in the country. Each organization aims at the framing successful and effective policy for the development and expansion of tourism across all parts or regions of the country. Policies are framed for the benefit of the residents of the country with the vision to develop tourism as a major source for the overall benefits, both socio-cultural and economic. Following are the organizations or bodies involved in tourism policy formulation. The first is Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. The Ministry of Tourism, Government of India is the principal organization involved in the creation of national policies and programs and also looks after for the coordination of actions of different central government organizations, state governments, union territories and the private sector organizations for the expansion and publicity of tourism in the country. This ministry is led by the Union Minister of State for Tourism. The governmental head of the ministry is the Secretary Tourism. The Secretary also works as Director General Tourism. The Office of the Director General of Tourism, now combined with the Office of Secretary Tourism, offers management guidelines for the execution of different plans and policies. Directorate General of Tourism has a field foundation of 20 offices throughout the country and 14 offices outside India and one subordinate workplace project. For example, Indian Institute of Skiing and Mountaineering IISM, Gulmarg Winter Sports Project. The foreign offices are mainly liable for tourism advertising and promotion in their particular areas, and the field offices in the India are liable for delivering into facilities to tourists traveling around the country and to look after the growth of field projects. The actions of IISM, GWSP have now been renewed and different ski and other development programs are being organized or conducted in the J&K Valley. The Ministry of Tourism has under its concern a public sector organization, the India Tourism Development Corporation, and the above self-governing institutions. First, Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management, popularly known as IITTM. National Institutes of Water Sports, NIWS. National Council for Hotel Management and Catering Technology, NCHMCT. Now, let's have a look on the role of Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Development and formulation of policies and programs. Providing incentive plans for tourism projects. External assistance to major tourism development projects. Training and development of workforce in order to fulfill the industry's requirement. Promotion and marketing both in India and abroad, providing financial assistance for the investment in tourism projects. Planning and coordination with other departments, ministries, state, union territory governments for the development of tourism sector in India. Setting up of rules and regulation or minimum standards and guidelines. Focus on developing infrastructure and enhancing product development. Creation of infrastructure and facilities like institutes and training centers for human resource development. Monitoring, evaluation, research, analysis on tourism industry. Focus towards international cooperation and external assistance and collaborations with foreign technical organizations. Bilateral agreements with other nations for the growth of tourism. Providing budget and coordination and related matters for the development of tourism. Assist in the making of policies by offering a response from the field offices all over the globe. Examining of planned projects and supporting in the plan formulation for expansion of the industry. Coordinating with the actions of field offices and their management. Giving authorization and categorization of hotels and restaurants. Giving authorization of travel agents, tourist transport operators, and inbound tour operators, etc. Infrastructure development throughout the various destinations in the country. Tourist facilitations and information, hospitality programs, conventions and conferences. Planning Commission of India. Tourism development in India began quite late, with the first tourism policy being declared by the Government of India in year November 1982. Tourism was known as an industry by the Planning Commission of India in the year June 1982. In the month of July, the Planning Commission of India established the National Committee on Tourism with the aim to frame plans for the tourism sector. The government's plan of integrating a planned tourism sector in India moved an extended way in encouraging Indian tourism. In the year May 1992, the National Action Plan for Tourism was declared. The goals of this milestone plan for tourism development in India were to develop the budget group domestic tourism, to grow the tourist regions both economically and socially, conservation of the national heritage and the environment of the country, to encourage the movement of foreign tourists in the country, to progress India's share in the world tourism, to accelerate chances for job opportunities in the tourism sector. India tourism development amplified with the 7th five-year plan in India, 1985 to 1989. The different policies revived by the 7th plan for the tourism planning in India are to motivate uncompromisingly domestic tourism movement in the country, focused more on the constructing extra beach resorts, aimed at conducting, organizing conferences, tracking and winter sports so that diverse choices are presented to the international tourists. These policies of the 7th five-year plan provided an increase to the tourism planning in India. For furthermore growth of tourism in India, tourism planning in India, the 8th five-year plan from 1992 to 1997 stated that the private sector must expand its contribution in the tourism sector. The different policies supported by the 8th plan for tourism planning in the country are development of different tourist places in the country, focus on developing winter sports, wildlife tourism and beach resorts, restoration and preservation of national heritage in the country, providing tourist center with economical type of accommodation. Tourism planning in India has improved by up and downs in the past years, and the government and Department of Tourism have to make up non-stop plans and policies to guarantee that tourism planning in India can take the Indian tourism industry to larger heights on a sustainable base. The National Institutions for Transforming India is a Government of India plan think tank funded by the Narendra Modi government to substitute the Planning Commission, which charted the top-down model. The specific aim for Niti Aayog's formation is to nurture participation and contribution in the fiscal policy making technique by the state governments of India. The stress is on bottom-up approach and make the country to move near to cooperative federalism. The National Development Council. The National Development Council was established in the year August 1952, also called as the Rashtriya Vikas Parishad. NDC is a head body for decision making and planning on the growth and development matters in the country. The main role of the body is to strengthen and mobilize the resources and efforts of the nation in support of planning, and also focuses on promotion of common economic policies in all important stages, also ensures a check on rapid and balanced growth and expansions in all the parts, regions of the country. The National Development Council also makes sure in the process of Indian growth and planning. It provides chances to both the union ministers and the chief ministers of the state to discuss on the different strategies at important stages of their policy making. The policies and plans are finally sanctioned or approved at their gathering, meetings, after the accomplishment and before they are finally presented in the parliament and the state legislatures. In this manner, the national effectiveness of the policies and plans is highlighted. The Council also studies economic and social programs disturbing the country from viewpoint of the citizens of the country, so that where needed standardization may be safe. In different ways, it gives a clue to the country on wide-ranging problems of policy and encourages joint philosophy and mutual act on problems of national importance. The National Development Council called its first meeting in the year November 1952. Meetings normally last for 2 days. The first meeting focused on the draft report of the first five-year plan. The various phases of the second five-year plan were studied at 4 meetings starting from May 1955, at which the plan frame and provisional structure were studied, and ending in May 1956, at which the final report was accepted. The Council studies propositions linking to the third five-year plan at 6 meetings in March, April, September 1960, March and May 1961. At the initial meetings, patterns of development, financial resources and divisions to different sectors were pondered on the basis of papers circulated by the Commission. The draft outline was sanctioned at the meeting of September 2, 1960, and the report of the third plan in May 1961. Other gatherings contemplated progresses, report on the land reforms, cooperative policy, plans, agriculture problems, problems relating to community development, etc. Vision of the importance of agriculture production and price policy, two special gatherings of National Development Councils were held to report these questions. The importance of the issues that are placed before the Council from time to time is thus clear. It may be stated that between 1955 and 58, for about 3 years, a standing committee consisting of 9 to 12 states had been created by the National Development Council. This body held together 6 meetings. In 1958, the standing committee was dropped as under the reforms of states. The total number of states had been condensed and there was no requirement for a minor body. Objectives and functions of NDC: to protect support of all the states in the implementation of the plan in different sectors, focus on strengthening and activating the work and resources of the country in the support of the policies and plans, promotion of the mutual economic plans and policies in all important domains, keep a check and ensure there is stable and fast growth in all the parts of the country, prescribe guidelines for the preparation of the national plans and policies, plus the evaluation of the resources available for the plan, to study the national plan as prepared by the Niti Aayog, creating an evaluation of the resources that are essential for executing the plan, and to recommend actions for strengthening the plans. Focus on study principal questions of social and economic program, disturbing national development. Review the functioning of the plan on regular time intervals and to advise such actions which are essential for accomplishing the goals and objectives fixed out in the national plan. Giving recommendations, actions for accomplishment of the goals and objectives fixed out in the national plan. Interstate Council. The Interstate Council is an Indian constitutional organization set up on the basis of provisions in the Article 263 of the Constitution of India. The organization was established by a presidential order dated on 28th May 1990 on suggestions of Sarkaria Commission. The Council is designed for discussing or examining policies, subjects of common interest, and disputes amongst the different states of the country. Article 263 of the Indian Constitution offers for formulation of interstate councils. It is not a permanent organization. It can be formed at any time if it shows to the President that the public interest would be functions by the formation of such a type of council, yet with increasing gap among the center and states. The main functions of ISC works on solving clash of interest among centers and states by discussion on mutual act. ISC can issue a consent on part of governor, also can choose upon the usage of Article 356 and other such constitutional matter. Other objections of states like flowing of items from states to concurrent list can be expressed. Work on bridging the trust shortage amongst the center and states. Make decision on deciding On decentralization of funds, ISC is also a stage for the health discussions and conversation. Judiciary can choose on problems disturbing center-state affairs on a case-to-case basis. It marks in important directorial and financial costs, as in the case of recent Uttarakhand and Arunachal Pradesh crunch. ISC can stretch an agreement on such problems before so that disaster-like circumstances does not occur. Centre has selected powers to exchange with foreign government and funding agencies. ISC will offer a proposal to bring states on board too. Promotion of healthy contests among states. Dear learners, now let's summarize the module. Every industry formulates certain types of policies for the development and growth of that industry. Similarly, tourism industry also frames certain policies and plans for the development and expansion of the industry. There are various government and private bodies, organizations involved in the process of policy formulation. For example, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, Planning Commission or Niti Aayog, the National Developmental Council and the Interstate Council. These bodies or organizations are actively involved in forming, designing different policies and plans for the effective economic and societal development through tourism. These organizations help in decision-making process, examining and discussion on policies, and solve disputes amongst the center and states. Policies are framed on regular basis by these organizations in order to accelerate the growth of the industry. Policies are framed with the aim to achieve certain goals and targets on accomplish certain objectives. Effective policy and efficient policy makers play a significant part in the growth of the industry, which further sets some milestones and standards. Policy formulating is the major function of the government bodies or organizations. Meanwhile, its formulation is a problematic and strong procedure. Few of the organizations which are involved in policy formulating are judiciary, boards and commissions, mass media, legislature, cabinet, state governments, civil servants, pressure group, political parties and public. It is important to measure the accountability of all the organizations in the process of making an informative policy for the country. Thank you.